All right. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Welcome to
Good.
our March meeting. Hard to believe. We made
March
it.
is on.
March is on. Marching forward here.
Yep.
All right. Well, we can get started here. Hopefully it's a relatively short meeting. I'll do the preamble and then we'll get going. Good evening. As chair of the Conservation Commission, I am declaring that an emergency still exists, and I am invoking the provisions of RSA 91A23B. Federal, state, and local officials have determined that gatherings of 10 or more people pose a substantial risk to our community in its continuing efforts to combat the spread of COVID-19. In concurring with their determination, I also find that this meeting is imperative to the continued operation of town government and services which are vital to public safety and confidence during this emergency. As such, this meeting will be conducted without a quorum of this body physically present in the same location. At this time, I also welcome members of the public accessing this meeting remotely and those of you on TV. Even though this meeting is being conducted in a unique manner under unusual circumstances, the usual rules of conduct and decorum apply. Thank you for your patience. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their name, please also state whether if there is anyone in the room with you tonight during the meeting.
So how about if I call the names in the order that I have them listed on my page?
Excellent.
Okay, Drew.
Hi, Andrew Koff. I'm alone in the room.
Trevor.
Trevor Matura, alone in the room.
This is Sally Ward, and I'm alone in the room at the moment. Dave.
Dave Short, I'm alone.
Bill.
Bill Campbell, and I'm alone.
Carlos.
Carlos Gwendon, and I'm alone.
Allison.
Allison Eberhardt, I'm alone.
And those are our 7 voting members. We also have, is Ginny here tonight? I don't see Ginny. Don.
Don Clement, and I'm alone in the room.
Nick.
Nick Champion, and I am alone in the room.
Kristen. Osterwood.
Kristen Osterwood, alone in the room.
Connor.
Connor Madison, and I'm alone.
And I don't see Julie and Kristen Murphy.
Kristen Murphy, and I am alone in the room.
Is that everybody? Okay.
All right. I don't see any public members. Is anyone there lurking in the shadows, ready to comment on anything? I don't think so. I hope not. All right. We will move into our first action item tonight, the Rems Barn RFP that was sent out, and our consideration of the 2 proposals that were presented in your packet. I am not familiar with this, so I'm turning this one over to you, Sally and Kristen.
Okay. So I told Kristen I would present this, and you chime in for me if I got anything that's controversial or you don't agree with. So as Drew was saying, and we said last time, we sent out an RFP in January for the project this project is to update the historic structures report to prep us to apply for LCHIP. So we'd done the historic structures report a couple of years ago and felt like it needed to be reassessed and get some up-to-date figures on what things would cost for the repairs that are needed. 2 contractors joined us for a site walk, and both of them submitted a proposal, and you have the 2 proposals in your packet. And a committee met last week to evaluate the proposals, and there's a recommendation that is before you tonight. And the committee consisted of Kristen Murphy and me and Bill Campbell and Doug Eastman. And there was consensus in the committee about the proposals, and our recommendation is that the award go to Bedard, the Bedard Company, and we were impressed by the detail in the specification of steps to be taken to do the assessment and the experience of the company. But let me just say that we were very pleased about the enthusiasm and the commitment of both of the companies that that gave us proposals. And we hope that going forward down the road, once we get LCHIP, fingers crossed, that both of them will still be interested in submitting proposals for the actual work to be done. There's a two-step process tonight. One is to for the Conservation Commission to accept the recommendation of the subcommittee, and if there are any questions, we can certainly entertain those. And the other is to specifically award the amount of money that is specified in the proposal, which is $2,500. So I think I got everything, Kristen.
Yep, I think you covered it. But we would be happy to discuss any sections of the proposals with the full committee.
Maybe you can just describe what the scope of work is roughly for this.
So as I said, the historic structures report that we had in the past that we used for the last LCHIP application indicated what the needed repairs were to bring the barn up to the level that we think needs to happen for public use. It's still on a limited basis, but public use. And there are things just to maintain the barn. There's clapboards, there is structural work with foundation. A whole series of things were specified in that historic structures report. And so this particular project would be to look at that report and to update it, bring it up to the 2021 criteria, and also meet the Secretary of the Interior standards for preservation. And that's what LCHIP is looking for. So this particular project is to update that report. So the contractor will take the report and look at all of the items that were specified in that previous report and add any additional items that might have come up in the interim, because it's an old property and things deteriorate over time. And so there might be additional things, but also to look at the costs that were specified in the previous report and update those for today's costs.
And I will just say, so this is, it's kind of a big deal because the product from this process will be a guidance document for us to make those repairs moving forward. And so this will identify the materials that we would need to use in order to retain the historic integrity of the structure. And so the product of this will have recommendations on, in order to maintain the historic integrity of the clapboards, you should use this type of wood with, this length, this type of saw cut, that sort of thing. And the product will become basically our guidance document for the repairs down the road.
Will this allow us to get into the May LCHIP grant cycle?
Yeah, so that was part of the stipulation in the RFP, that we made it clear that we wanted to do this cycle for LCHIP, and both Bedard and the other company are aware of that, and we're able to meet that deadline. So there's an intent to apply, which is due in May, and so we would need to have this project completed by May. So it's a tight timeline, but both companies said that they could meet that deadline. So short answer is yes.
Will the report include a prioritization too, or at least include the things that are most emergent, or will that be left up to us or to the subcommittee?
Yeah, so the Bedard proposal did include kind of like a phasing, breaking out a phased approach should that be needed. And that's important because sometimes LCHIP, if they have a ton of applicants, right, they will suggest to the applicants, and this happened the last time that we applied, if you couldn't get all of the money, is there something that a smaller chunk of the pie that you'd be willing to focus on for this grant round? So yeah, it will include that.
I thought Bedard's was a little more definite in their listing of things, as though In fact, I think he's had a little more experience at this, and he listed very well what he would do. It was good.
Any other questions or comments? We're just very eager to move on, get this part done, and then apply for the LCHIP this spring, summer. We lost you, Bill. Oh, there you are.
Oh, you're muted, Bill.
I'm trying to stay muted. The cost is slightly different, at least the way I read it. But I think it's worth the extra money to get Bedard myself. That's my recommendation.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, then if we think we're ready, I'm happy to make a motion. Do other people have questions? Okay, then I will move that we approve the review committee's selection of Bedard for the preparation of a current conditions assessment of Rems Barn, and authorize the chair to send a letter, authorize Drew to send a letter indicating the selection to the applicants.
Seconded.
Great. Any other discussion? Are we ready for a vote?
Yes.
Okay, Drew?
Yes.
Trevor?
Aye.
I vote yes. Dave?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Allison?
Yes.
And that's our 7 voting members. So I think the appropriate second step is to specifically state that we want that $2,500, which is the cost, to be expended to do this work.
From the Conservation Fund.
From the Conservation Fund.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We're ready for a vote? Drew?
Yes.
Trevor?
Aye.
I vote yes. Dave?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Carlos?
Aye.
And Allison?
Yes.
Great, approved. Thank you. So we're very happy to be making this step, and thank you for your support of what we're trying to do at Rems.
Excellent. It's a great step. Appreciate all the work that's gone into getting us to this step. I know that's been a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more to go. So
Yeah, a lot more to go.
That's awesome. Exciting time for Rems. Feels like we're really turning a corner there with some momentum. Okay. Anything else with Rems that we should talk about?
So I just want to send out a thank you to Nick so last meeting we approved the expenditure for the camera. And Nick is our point person to keep track of that, and it's been kind of overwhelming because there's so much activity that the camera is constantly clicking on. And so, Nick, I want to say thank you so much for being the point person on that. And this is going to be important for us in the LCHIP application, but also for general considerations about what's going on at Rems, and the numbers of people that are now recorded by the camera are quite impressive. And we've got hundreds of people coming and using Rems, and that's a good indicator of how important this property is for the town. So thank you, Nick, and thank you, Kristen, for making the camera happen. And we'll be using those data for our LCHIP application.
It's been a labor of love.
I mean, literally, Nick is going.
It is a labor.
Just to highlight thousands. We're talking thousands of images
Yeah.
to document the uses that are occurring there. Nick, you sent a summary out to Sally and I. Do you have those numbers handy?
Any wildlife, or is this all?
I know it off the top of my head, but there is wildlife as well. They move so fast though that I can't tell if it's a fisher or a skunk or I don't know. But I've got some images of wildlife. I'll share them with Kristen, and she can disperse them as she sees fit. But I don't know if it's a chupacabra or what. But there's some wildlife out there. But the first cycle of images that we took, that the game camera took, we had over 500 images during about a 10-day period. That was when we had a lot of snow on the farm, and people were sledding, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. And then recently I just did the past 7 or 8 days, and we had about half that. So we had over 260 visitors. I guess the safe assumption to say is that when there is recreational activities like sledding or cross-country or snowshoe hiking, it draws a little bit more of a crowd. But the numbers have been overwhelming. And I live a few houses up from the property. So I have seen multiple times cars parked on the side of the road because it is so popular on like a Saturday midday after a snowstorm. It's just, I don't know if people aren't going to the golf course, or the golf course is too busy, or if it's, people are going stir crazy because of the pandemic, but it's definitely been a very popular and neat to see site.
Yeah. And it's
I
great.
would say it's a safer location than the golf course, which has some challenges to it.
Yeah. It's great to have hard data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in prior years, we had talked, but weren't able to do it, having sort of open barn activities where we open the barn up, we offer some cocoa and a spot to kind of get some shelter. So, this is also important data for that activity moving forward. We can expect some serious numbers should that occur.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, is being able to use it next year. Because I've been by a few times, and that first hill is just so popular. It's just great for big kids and little kids.
All right. Well, that's a great update. It has been a nice winter out there. Well, should we move on to the next? There's no more comments. We'll move on to we need a motion for the approval of the New Hampshire ACC dues that we somehow didn't get at the end of the year last year.
I would move that we allocate the money for those dues. I think it's a great organization, benefits us in many ways.
Yes.
I'll second that.
And it's what, $750?
$700.
$700. Yeah.
Yeah, it's built into our budget.
Yep.
So.
And we typically do wait until March to make that payment, especially in years when the dues go up, because we want to wait for the outcome of the election. But this is the same amount, I believe, as last year. So it seemed we might as well just make it happen.
Yep. You ready for a vote?
Yes, let's vote.
Drew?
Yes.
Trevor?
Aye.
Sally votes yes. Dave?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Carlos?
Aye.
And Allison?
Yes.
Done. Unanimous.
All right, easy. We're easy tonight.
Yeah.
All right, on to committee reports. Do we have anything for property management that we want to discuss?
I don't think so. Aside from rains, that was the only thing I could think of, unless there's something I'm overlooking.
I think, Dave, you might comment on the use of that machine in the Oaklands, at least. I understand it's been a big hit.
Yeah, they had a brief window there where they were able to use it. And, from all indications, it did a really, really nice job taking out all the potholes, the ruts, and all that sort of thing. So it hasn't gotten a heavy amount of usage yet, but so far, so good.
It's been a lot of activity, though, up there, I understand.
It doesn't stop. And now we just got to keep an eye on this in the fall are the vulnerable times of the year for the trails. And fortunately, right now, we're going through kind of a gradual warm up without a lot of snow on the ground and without a lot of rain coming down. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, I guess, but we're going to keep an eye on the trails. At the moment, there are not any real problem areas that seem to have developed, but we are keeping our eyes on that. In fact, I was curious, do we have any signage available that if we do want to try to discourage use, if say all of a sudden we get a lot of rain, and we want to shut it down for 3 or 4 or 5 days, whatever, is there signage available that we can do that with?
Yeah, so we purchased a while back some metal mud season signs that I was thinking you had, Dave, but
yeah.
It could be Bob Kelly then. I'll check with him.
I'll bet you it is Bob. I can get a hold of him, Kristen.
Okay. But they're big, bright orange signs. They're not, it would be hard to lose them.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Bob has them. And if we have to, if 90% of the trail system seems to be draining well and all that sort of thing, as soon as the frost is out of the ground, I think we're in the clear. But if we have to close individual sections down, we'll do that. I've got some people that can help out with that.
And then I guess I would just be sure if there is a decision that certain sections need to be closed and you have to move quickly, to just send that information to me so I can get it on the town's website, our Facebook site. And if we have time, we could post a quick note in the paper.
I wouldn't dream of making a move without letting you know.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. I saw there was a sign from Montpelier, Vermont, it looks like, about groomed trail etiquette in our packet. I don't know if you want, should we discuss that anymore? I know there were some issues with people post-holing and in the snowpack when we had that other warm-up, must have been 2 weeks ago now. But maybe that's not relevant anymore as these conditions keep changing pretty rapidly. Although we could get more snow. We're not out of the woods yet. It's still early March here, people.
Well, I think what's going to happen is I guess there isn't really a company that sells those signs, but there is a guy who's a frequent user who does a lot of graphic design, and he's going to try to take that sign and tailor it to our needs. He hasn't finished it yet, so I don't think it's anything for this year. But once we get back, some renderings from him, maybe we can take a look at those and decide what makes the most sense for our uses.
That would be good. I know we do seem to have a lot of different types of trail use more and more, whether it's biking now in the winter and skiing and snowshoeing and running and all sorts of different types of activities. And people don't always, I've witnessed people not respecting the cross-country ski trails. Everyone seems to walk in the cross-country ski trails and particularly I live near Jolly Rand Trail, and it's not big enough really to have a separate, you in certain places you kind of can have a separate ski trail and a walking trail, but it's not really wide enough for that. So it always gets just kind of crazy. But having some more education about how to respect different trails in the winter is a good idea, I think. Okay. Any more on that?
Comment about the sign. Dave, if you're working with the graphic designer, my feedback about the Montpelier sign would just be, it lost me. Like there's a lot on there and you have to get through a lot before you get to the point. So I might just suggest that part that says stop as your tire or foot sinking more than 1 inch deep. Like, to me, what you want someone to do should be the very first thing. Like, you can't expect someone to read all the way through the sign, because like I'm invested in this and they almost lost me. So I would just suggest, as they're developing the sign, that whatever the ask is, that goes front and center, like up top.
Yeah, well, the simpler and the cleaner anything is, the better. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what he comes back with. But, he was going to use that kind of as a starting point, because there are some good ideas in it. But
for sure, yeah.
But it's a little cluttered, so we'll see what he comes up with.
Awesome. Any other trail discussion? Any other info out there? It's been icy. I know that. All right, outreach events. Don, do you want to talk about the septic owners outreach?
Absolutely. Thank you. The Hampshire Department of Environmental Services has a wealth of information. And I know a couple of years ago, they started an endeavor to make people more aware of septic systems. So what we've done, Exeter Squamscott River Local Advisory Committee is partnering now with the town of Exeter to send out maintenance brochure. It's called Get Pumped. It's a maintenance brochure about your septic systems, and we're partnering with the town of Exeter to get a mailing out to every septic system owner in the town of Exeter. And this is there'll be a cover letter that'll be signed by Jennifer Perry and Bill Meserve, who is the chair of Exeter Squamscott River Local Advisory Committee. Right now, Teresa Walker is working with Jen Mates to coordinate this. Jen Mates of the DPW to coordinate this. We hope to get the mailings out next month, and we're probably going to need some help stuffing the envelopes at some point in time. So if I hear about more of a need, I'll put a call out. But it's a project that we've been in the works for a while. But again, COVID and everything else has slowed everything down. But our goal right now is to get this all out in the mail to every septic system owner in the town of Exeter. And it's a maintenance brochure that was created by NHDES. And it's about the do's and don'ts of your septic system, how you should periodically clean them, what you should put in them, what you shouldn't put in them, how the septic system impacts groundwater. So, more awareness more aware people are, better maintenance of their septic system will help also hopefully reduce the nitrogen load into the bay. Because as we know, septic systems are a percentage of septic systems do contribute some of the nitrogen load. So this is an effort on our part with the town of Exeter, and seeing how successful this is, hopefully Exeter River Local Advisory Committee will start trying to work with other towns upstream and downstream of Exeter on the river about trying to get this information out about septic systems. Because I think other than Exeter, I don't think any other town is on a municipal sewer system. I think Newfields has a small one in the center, but I think every other town in the area, in the region, up and down the river is all on septic systems. So the more we can make people aware of their septic systems and their responsibilities and the do's and don'ts, the better for the river. So that's where we are right now. Questions?
So, can you tell us the proportion of households that are septic versus wastewater treatment center?
Yeah, it's about 75, 25 being the septic systems.
75% septics?
Yeah, about 75%. 70 to 75% of the town is on a municipal sewer. It's the far reaches of the town that are not on municipal sewer. Basically, on the north side of 101.
I'm on a septic. I'm just past the Colcord Pond on Brentwood Road. It stops right there.
On the other side, of the river, of the bridge. Brentwood Road area, yeah. So, but it's roughly, I think that's the breakdown. So it's about 20 to 25% are on septics.
I got mine pumped last year. Yeah, last year at some point.
I think you can find the brochure. I wish I had a copy of the brochure. I didn't think to print one off. I think you can, if you go to the website called getpumpednh.com, you can access the brochure. It's a very good brochure. It's about a 2-pager. So.
All right. Well, thanks, Don. That's a great update. Sounds like a good initiative.
It is.
All right, Nick, do you want to talk about the Concom hikes with Parks and Rec?
Sure. So we've had a few hikes. I led one, Kristen led one, and the hike that I was able to lead the group on was none other than at Rems Farm. We had about a half dozen kiddos, and it was, I want to say it was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we had a lot of snow on the ground. It was a snowshoe hike. And it was pretty inspiring because a lot of the children saw some wildlife that I didn't see. So they pointed out at one point a big, I don't know if it was a Cooper hawk or a red tail that we were kind of following through the woods. And then we also saw, we were standing by the bench up on the backfield of Rains, kind of looking out towards the track in the river. And one of the little girls saw what she thought was a big cat or a lion. But it was, in fact, a bobcat that was running away from the tracks onto the salt marsh that's right along the river there. You can kind of see a small area there, and it was quickly getting away from us. I guess we were a little too loud in its area. So that was really fascinating to see because I've never seen one so close to home. And then what else did we see that was cool? I don't know. It was just great. The kids just, they bring a lot of enthusiasm. For the most part, they all know each other. I think they're 4th, 5th, 6th grade. But it's just neat to see them taking it in and, teaching them a little bit about the types of trees and the history of the parcel. So it was fun. I don't know where Kristen took her group, so I'll let her talk about.
To go to the Little River Conservation Area, but because there's not parking to accommodate multiple vehicles easily, we entered off of the the Continental Drive cul-de-sac. So we went down through the private parcel initially and then met up with the trail network. And we had, it was really exciting. So David Tubby with Parks and Rec was the organizer of this. He was able to secure some snowshoes for people to borrow. And in my group, I think we had a total of 7 people, which may have been 4 or 5 distinct groups. Many of them had never had snowshoes on before. And so I thought it was a really neat, it was kind of neat, you know, trying to figure out how to buckle the bindings and get them set up and what the best way to walk. But then also from that access point, it's so quick to get to a, you know, beautiful, dense thicket of woods and to see the transition from, you know, this forested area. So we talked about browse and, you know, opening up that area brings in this new vegetation. So just the differences of wildlife use in those 2 distinct visual open areas versus a really dark, dense forest. So it was a ton of fun. It was, you know, it's kind of a short trek. So it goes really quick. I feel like we could have spent forever out there, but, and then we have another one planned next Wednesday, I think, that Nick is leading, and the location is to be determined, right, Nick?
Correct. I told David he can pick because he seemingly always just tells me to pick, and I always just pick Rems Barn. But yeah, I believe I will be on that one, so I'm looking forward to it.
And then the final one of the series will be during April vacation. So I'll be leading that one again. And I'm kind of hoping there's some vernal pool activity by then, which would be really cool, but who knows? Can I hear it? An echo. Do you guys? Ugh.
That might be me. I'm sorry if I was unmuted. Sally, do you anything else on that? Should we go to the tree committee? Tree walk, Sally?
So, am I echoing here? No. So just an update from the tree committee. The tree committee is working on, we talked about this before, working on a development of a tree ordinance for the town, more on that later. And right now we're taking a look at what other towns have done and pulling from them things that would be useful. And we have this great example. This is not a tree ordinance thing, but in Dover, they had a citizens participation. Did we talk about this last time? The citizens participation walk around town to identify trees. So the citizens actually came on board to do a tree inventory. So we're looking at that going forward. But the tree walk is, this is the second tree walk, has been sponsored by the tree committee. And it's the purpose of these is to have a group of people take a look at the tree cover in different areas of town. The first one was at Gilman Park. And the second one, which was last month, was at Swayze. And we're very fortunate to have an arborist on the tree committee, Kevin Breen, and he led that walk to for people who attended, socially distanced. There was a limited number of people. So that happened in February, and it was filmed by Exeter TV, and there will be a video. It's not available yet, I don't believe. I checked earlier today, and I don't think the video has been posted yet, but there is a video that folks can take a look at. And our hope is that we'll continue to have these tree walks around town, and that as things improve COVID-wise, we can have a bigger event and more people can join in. And I think some people from the Swayze Trustees Committee were involved in this tree walk. Dave, were you there? Do you know if somebody else from Swayze?
Yeah, Mark, Dwayne, myself.
Yeah.
We were there. Jen Martell from Jeff Highland's office was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice walk, nice day.
Yeah. So this is something that the tree committee will be doing periodically as we move forward. And again, the parameters of the tree walk will change once things are safer COVID-wise. And so we'll send out a message once the video is posted so people can do the virtual tree walk on Swayze. And again, thanks to Kevin Breen for leading that effort. And the tree committee is meeting again tomorrow. So there'll be an update next month.
All right. Awesome. That sounds fun. I'll look for that video when it comes out. The next item is the trail puzzle and grab and go bird ID concepts. Nick, Kristen, sounds fun.
Nick, you want to do that?
You can start it off.
Okay. So we were trying to come up with a way to make the trail challenge a little bit more enticing. We didn't get a whole lot of participation last time. And so I had said, what if we just hid something on each of these trails and people had to take a picture of it? But Nick had a better idea as a way to encourage visiting all of them. And he suggested we get a picture of some sort of, New Hampshire native critter, like an owl or something like that, print it out and cut it into puzzle shapes. And then at each site, set up a, kind of like a geocache box, but a box where you can go and pick up the puzzle piece. And then when you get them all together, you could color them, snap a picture, and then send that in to us. Did I cover it?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, just another neat way to kind of get people out into the conservation properties and, reap the benefits of what we have to offer here in Exeter. And I think the scavenger hunt that we did at Rems was so successful. I thought if we did something kind of in that vein, we could hopefully ride on the heels of that success. So time will tell.
So the hope is to have this go out sometime near-ish Earth Day or April vacation timeframe. So if you have some thoughts over which properties we want to highlight in that time period, that would be great to, send one of us your thoughts. Otherwise, we can just pick some. I think with the spring, we are likely, because people are still getting out there very eagerly, but we're very likely to have the same issues we were having before with clogged parking lots. And I think that there's potential, and, parking on roads, just like we mentioned earlier with rains. And so I think we're really going to have to make a concerted effort to continue to try to push the concept of diversifying where you hike. If you go out there and the lot's full, pick a new spot. And really do our best to try to ensure that people are aware of alternative parking areas, alternative properties to visit, what the restrictions of those properties are, and things of that nature. So this was kind of in that vein of let's, diversify recreation area usage.
I think it's a fun idea.
Yeah.
I think it's great for both those concepts, encouraging people to go out and trying to spread the use out.
And then the second one, the grab and go bird ID, we had talked a little bit about some grab and go projects where people could come to Rems or another property and pick up supplies. But Ginny was looking into, I guess the library has some grab and go stuff for another committee, and I can't remember what it was, but we thought she was looking into whether the library could be a place where people go. We have a space dedicated. And so I had done a project with the city of Dover, or the schools in Dover, where we created kind of like we took the most common winter birds that are easily seen, most regularly seen, because winter doesn't quite have the diversity of species. So it's easy to start to learn your birds then, and create like a field guide basically that kids could then use. So it's a bird ID kit, a mini field guide, maybe some bird seed, and and Nick, I think we talked a bit about some sort of makeshift feeder in kit out of recycled or upcycled trash ingredients. So that's kind of in a vaguer concept, but I'd love to have something like that set up as well.
I also have 1 million pine cones that I'm happy to donate for the cause.
These sound awesome. You both. Now I'm echoing. Wow. I just want to say you're both very creative.
I think we're kind of feeding off of each other's caffeine issues, afternoon caffeine issues.
That's accurate.
Maybe that'll help the echo tonight. I put in my headphones. Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Sounds awesome. Keep up the ideas. I like the energy. Also could use some energy on the next item, some ideas. We were asked to do something called a Green Minute by the Sustainability Commission, Sustainability Office. Let me try that again. The Sustainability Committee. They're organizing this series of 1-minute highlight videos from throughout the town about what all the different committees and commissions are working on related to sustainability. And I got voluntold that I should do one of these. So I'm happy to do it. If anyone else out there, Nick, Kristen, Allison, wants to do it instead of me, I'm willing to pass the baton to you. But Kristen came up with some ideas of things to highlight in this 1 minute we have to highlight our work related to sustainability, which is pretty broad. So Kristen, rattled off a good list looking at invasive plant removal, the wildlife corridor study that's been ongoing, talking about Rems Farm and all the work out there, pollinator pathways and that project, and also looking at our trail use. So those were the main topics. They actually talked about recording after this meeting, but I'm not prepared to do so. So I'm sorry, Exeter TV, if you were planning on recording me after this, but we're gonna have to set up another time because I'm not quite there. But does anyone have any other ideas? Or what make a good 1 minute video? Or if I have any good photos we could add so you don't have to look at me. They can, I guess, put photos up instead of the person talking.
I think it would be great also to talk about the work that's done to support wetlands and keeping, like, just from what I've been listening to for the short time I've been on the committee, of keeping wetlands and maintaining buffers and kind of maintaining the maintaining the character of the town. I think that would be helpful. He thinks so too.
Oh, so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kristen. And we could, there's a lot to that. We do bring that up at a lot of our reviews in terms of sea level rise. And I'm just thinking about our last application that we talked about. So we can try and weave that in.
Drew, I don't know how involved of a minute this has to be, but I just want to throw out there that I do have a drone and a gimbal if you're trying to do some kind of creative video footage. I'd be happy to help with that. But if that's something that Exeter TV is going to do, I'll happily just slink back into the weeds. But yeah,
I think that was mostly for their convenience or our convenience that they were going to record it for us and do some editing in of photos if we had some. But I'm sure they could I don't know, have you done a cool like aerial at Rains? I mean, maybe that would be it, just to spend a significant portion of our minute talking about Rains. And doing a cool, like, I could see a cool aerial of the barn and the surrounding area and just painting around.
Yeah.
I believe somebody has already done that. We might use was it Bob that did it, or
I think it was
Carlos's friend? Somebody did one.
My oldest son did some of that and some of Henderson Swayze right after the harvest.
That could be a good way to eat up some time like this.
What's your deadline, Drew?
I think it's in the next few weeks. I think they want to have it. Sorry to actually explain what this is. I think they're gonna compile everyone's videos. The River Advisory Committee, Energy Committee, all the different committees, and then it'll be airing. I think it'll be cycling as the filler video on the cable TV starting at some point in April, and it's related to Earth Day.
Yeah. And I think it's coming out as Dave Sharples. I think it's coming from him, not the Sustainability Advisory Committee, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
It's coming from him.
It's coming from Dave. Okay.
I think so. Just as you said, you're voluntold. I don't want the Sustainability Advisory Committee to get thrown under the bus on voluntolding.
No, I'm not. I got an email from Renee about it. I think was sort of organizing it with Dave.
Okay.
But I don't know very much about this, as you can tell. So.
Yeah, I just heard about it last week too at the Sustainability Advisory Committee that they're also creating one. So.
All right, we got it. There's some competition. Okay. So I don't know the logistics, but maybe Nick, we can chat about the drone video, or Carlos. I don't know how to get we'd have to obviously get all this footage together. Sounds challenging a little bit. But maybe we can, Nick and I can chat, or I can work with you, Carlos, to get that video.
And I do have pictures of like the little river, so still photos that I could send you if that's helpful. When you talk about buffers, I think that's a great idea, wetland protection and being including that in the concept. But I think I have a few that I could send you.
Okay. Are there any other? So I think maybe we'll focus on wetlands, trail use, and rains. Barn, and maybe if we need more things, we could include the invasive.
So, could you need to only do this? You only have 1 minute to do this. Is that the gist of this?
Yeah, maybe that's too much.
Yeah, I think if you try to cramp too much into 1 minute, you're not going to get a good message out. So maybe just focus on one thing. Maybe wetland buffers is, I mean, if this is successful, I would imagine they're probably going to try to do this green minute other times during the year. So, again, I haven't seen, what the letter asked for. So I just going to go on by what you're saying on this.
I think it's pretty open-ended, very open.
I think something we learned when we did our outreach back. Oh God, when did we do it? Last fall, Allison? On the outreach, we figured less is better.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I mean, as a commission, like, what do we want people to know most, right? Do we want them to know about rains and that this is a town-owned property available to them, and we're working to raise funds to fix the barn and, make it this amazing conservation center? Or do we want them to know why they should care about wetlands? Or I do feel like this is a valuable opportunity to maybe reach more people than we often do. So I think it's worth spending a minute or two to think about, like, when is it? April? It's Earth Day. Like, okay, come April, what's our most important message that we want people to know? I like the wetland idea. I do think that's one that we could probably always be pushing. But is there anything more emergent than that we should consider?
So, I was kind of thinking going to the base of the whole thing for me is that it's just the amount of land that's set aside by the town. Rems Farm is in the big picture a small part of that. Within that, wetlands certainly I'd say is high, but just the soil for water protection, the trees for holding and maintaining resources. So I try to steer away from some of the management and issue-based things that we are working on, like invasive species. The big picture is what's not the native functioning ecosystems or representative habitats that are actually included by the town and set aside. It's pretty impressive, I think, for the most part. And despite the fact that more and more development goes in, is the amount of land that's actually you can go out and walk through in a fairly natural state. And so I guess that would be what I would focus on, probably, if it was my choice.
Again, all good things, but I'm going back to what we used to do in the business world. We called it your elevator speech. You're going to get on an elevator with the CEO of your company. You only got so much time to get your message across. Maybe we segment these things into different minutes, but and I don't know what the best focus is, but again, try to keep it short and simple. Will get us much further than if we try to get too verbose.
Well, right. And isn't an elevator speech usually like 3 or 4 minutes? And this is 1. So we have a third of an elevator speech.
Well, it depends which elevator.
It's a long elevator ride, Allison. I don't know what elevators you're riding, but
we were only in a 10-story building.
Well,
just a slow elevator.
All right. Well, I can try and do something somewhat. I like the idea of looking at wetlands and our conservation land and ecological functions, wildlife habitat, and all the other sort of aspects of public land. Maybe I'll try and get some ideas written down, and I could send that out to some folks here who seem interested. Dawn, I'm going to get your input here.
Yeah, I wonder if you could share a few brief facts of like the miles of trails or the percentage of conservation land that exists within the town of Exeter.
I know that we have that.
Yeah, just to give people an idea of that. And like, I think you could probably wrap it in together with the wetland protection of like, we are, been tasked with conserving all these lands, not just for recreation, but for habitat and, storm surge, sea level rise impacts. And
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can get some facts in there to help. That always helps. All right. Good brainstorm here. Thank you, everyone. Why don't we keep going for sake of time?
I have one unscripted item for the outreach events that I forgot to list there. And that is our rain barrel program. So I wanted to get the annual rain barrel sale program out earlier than in prior years, so that we can hopefully capitalize on some of the early rains and have them ready for gardening season. And so Once again, we are offering discounted rain barrels through the Great American Rain Barrel Company. And purchases can be made up until April 11th. And then April 17th, people can come, and I'll schedule a time frame when they can come and pick up their rain barrel. They're $79 each, and you can find information about it on the Great American Rain Barrel Company's website under Community Programs, and then you choose Exeter, New Hampshire. There's information on that on the Facebook page, the town website, and I think that's it so far.
I'll make a plug for the rain barrels. So I got one last year, and then I set up a drip system in my garden. So when we were in the drought, I had a whole rain barrel full of water that I like directly connected the drip system to. So I was able to keep watering my garden for, I mean, it's not a huge garden, but quite a while. So that was like an immediate, like awesome benefit of having the rain barrel. So anyway, people should get them if they have a spot for them.
So Kristen, how many did we sell last year? Do you recall? And
12,
is there,
I believe,
12? Mm-hmm. So do we have a maximum, or we can do as many as we
can do as many as we want. Yeah. Last year was a bit of a challenge because I had to drive them around.
Oh yeah,
one carload at a time. But but this year, since people can come to Public Works to pick them up, it should be easy.
So I would just echo what Allison said. We have a rain barrel we got 2 or 3 years ago through this program, and during the drought, one good rain fills up the rain barrel, and so I was able to keep my plants alive through the drought, which was wonderful. So it's a really great thing, and it's not very arduous to do it. You just collect the water and then fill up your watering can or have a drip system. So it's a really, I think, a great thing to do. That would be a good sustainability minute thing. I think I'm going to get a second one this year, actually.
I'm thinking about it too, Sally. One begets another.
Yeah, and they are kind of neat. They're set up so that you can sort of daisy chain them off each other. So if you only have one downspout, you can, it's okay. You can use that to fill multiple rain barrels.
I'm sold. I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, maybe I need one too, actually. I'm going to get 12 right on this commission.
I might need some volunteers to help distribute rain barrels on the 17th.
The outlet spout looks sort of high in the picture. I don't get why it would be not at the bottom.
So there's multiple. You can connect for the higher one. So if you want a daisy chain, so it'll fill up the rain barrel, right? And then go over to the next rain barrel. Or if you want to do the drip system like Allison does, you connect it to the lower section. There's a plug down there. You just switch them and you connect into the lower section.
And we have ours set up so it's the perfect height to fill up the watering can. So it's low, but it's not the lowest one. So you have different options.
Yeah, that's true. And that gives you a little height actually at the outlet, so you can get something under it.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Rain barrel program. Well, you're going to post on Facebook and we'll get the word out about that, I'm sure. All right, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. I found one minor correction that it should be peat land on the top line of page 3. Peat, not peak land, as in organic matter.
If I remember right, about the second page, I don't have in front of me now, they talk about a Mr. Lane coming in and he's not been identified. I thought he is the spokesman for the car company, and I thought there should be something in the beginning that identifies that he's there. And so all of a sudden, Mr. Lane is making comments, and he's not a commission member, and so I just think that should be added at some point, unless I missed something, which is often true.
Okay, Chris Lane. I do see him in the title. Oh, look at that. It might be okay.
But he's not in our minutes, I don't think, identified, is he?
So he could be added as a guest right at the beginning, right? I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, we don't have other guests in the introduction part, but he is listed: Chris Lane, McFarland Ford, Jim Gove, GEI. I think it's okay the way it's written, but maybe you can just look at that, make confirm. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved as amended.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Drew?
Yes.
Trevor?
Aye.
Sally votes yes. Dave?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Carlos?
Aye.
Allison?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, excellent. Do we have any other correspondence to discuss? No? Other business? Do we need to talk about the membership, Conservation Commission membership?
So I'll chime in. My term is up in April. My assumption was that April would be my last meeting. I'm not going to continue my membership at this time. I have other pressing family matters that, I'm always, if something worth doing is worth doing well. And I have felt pulled in the direction of spending more time in Boston. So I felt like this would be a time to step off the commission. So after the April meeting, I won't be a member any longer, although I certainly maintain my interest. And I told Drew that I would certainly be eager to continue on the Rems Farm Committee, although I can't continue as chair because the chair by bylaws needs to be a member of the commission. So just FYI. So one option, Drew, would be to have one of our alternates become a voting member, but there might be other people who have an interest. So anyway, that's my deal.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Sally. We will miss you greatly. You've been a huge addition to this commission over the years.
Thank you.
So we get one more month though with you. So you're not gone. This isn't it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we can, I guess.
Oh, and I also I told Kristen I would stay involved through the LCHIP application on Rems if the committee wants me to do that. I'm happy to do that. I've committed to it, and I think it's important, and I know a lot about it. So if I can stay on that committee, I will certainly be involved in the LCHIP application.
Excellent. Yeah, we hope you do. And because you don't need to be on the commission to be part of that committee. They're separate. Okay. So we potentially have opening in our May meeting, it looks like. And I guess that won't be until the May session where we may need to adjust who's an alternate and who's a voting member. So
you need to let the select board who makes those determinations, let them know in April so that it's done by April 30th. So
okay.
And as I've indicated to you, I'd like to step back as a alternate, which would leave somebody else to also move up as a regular member. I started as an alternate, and I'd like to go out as an alternate. I like to be involved, but I don't need to be a voting member anymore. So
Okay.
30 years is enough.
Wow. All right. Yeah, 30 years. You certainly are. Well, Don's been involved. How long have you been on the commission or been involved with the town committees at some level?
Less than Bill. I'm much younger than Bill is. Probably about 25 years, but 25. I too want to continue as an alternate because as Bill, I started out as an alternate too, probably about 25 years ago, and under Bill's tutelage, as a matter of fact. So I want to continue that way because of personal issues. Also, it's best for me to remain an alternate, and I think this gives an opportunity for some of the younger people who are alternates now to step up, and I think it's a great opportunity. So kudos, and I'm sorry to see Sally go. I mean, in any capacity, Sally's been a valuable member not only of the commission but of the community. So I know we'll still be able to rely on you, Sally.
Well, I'm not leaving town. I'm not leaving town.
Right. That's what I meant.
You'll still see me walking along and walking sways every morning.
Okay.
We know where you live.
That's right. We know how to find you.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks for that input, Don. Yeah. So I think historically how we've worked it, and Bill or Don or Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, but alternates tend to move up to regular voting members based on seniority in the commission. So the alternate member who's been here the longest would then have the first opportunity to become a voting member. It's been the general policy of how this works. So I think that would be Nick. And if we have two opportunities for voting members, that being Sally and Bill, that would also be Kristen Osterwood. I believe you would be the next one. But if we don't need to decide that right now. So I guess we do need to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen next month. So we can discuss that further, or should we decide right now? Kristen Murphy, what do you think?
I guess I would say if the alternates are interested, reach out to you or I in preparation for April meeting, and then that can just kind of be officialized at the April meeting. Then you make a recommendation to the select board from that.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't need to put anyone on the spot.
And if alternates are wishing to remain as alternates, that's okay too. That would be helpful to know so that we could start searching for additional members.
Or we just promote you every month to a voting member by default if we don't have enough. So it's your choice. You're in one way or the other.
Twist my arm.
Okay. Is there any other
time?
Any other business?
I did have one thing to bring up, and just I don't know if you all have received notification of this, but the Saving Special Places Conference registration is now open. So I can share that link if you would like it. But the conference is scheduled for Friday, April 9th and Saturday, April 10th, and it's virtual this year.
Okay.
That'd be great if you could send us that information. I don't think I've received it yet.
Yeah, that's not on my radar either, but that sounds interesting. We do have money. Is it free? No. But there's some money available for that type of activity and the New Hampshire ACC conference in November?
Yeah. So, and I can't remember off the top of my head the amount that we set aside for education and training, but typically it's enough for multiple members to attend NHACC and other training. I believe this is $25 or $30 in that ballpark. But it's a very I think a lot of the workshops that are being presented would be of interest to Conservation Commission members. It's a bit of a different twist than NHACC, but similar.
All right, excellent. Well, we'll be in touch, and if other events come up, let's keep sharing them. I think we have a great group of people with lots of interesting events, and if you hear about any other free activities, feel free to share them along, or paid activities. All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 13th of April. That's 5 weeks away, not 4 like last time. This meeting really came up quick. And the submission deadline is April 2nd. So I hope everyone enjoys the weather this week and stays healthy and safe out there. So
it's supposed to be record warm tomorrow. We'll see.
Let's see. Sounds novel. All right. Well, have a good night. I guess we need to take a vote to adjourn. Mm-hmm. I'll motion that we adjourn.
Second. Drew?
Yes.
Trevor? Sally votes yes. Trevor, did you vote?
Yes. Aye.
Dave?
Yes.
Bill? Bill, yes. Carlos?
Aye.
And Allison?
Aye.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy, stay safe.